Hello. Hello, hello. We
Hiya.
are working. Where are we, Kate?
We're live from my polytunnel. How about that?
It's beautiful. We've got kale. No, not kale.
Yes, we have
Oh, we have,
spinach,
yeah,
purple sprouting broccoli, and a perennial kale here. So if we get a bit hungry in the evening, we can just nibble.
it's beautiful. Really, yeah. So tonight we've got like a big window in front of us. So I'll see if I can show you because I've got a bit of a wide going on here. So if I flip this round, we've got there we go. We've got a bit of a garden view, and kind of down there on the bottom there is pond, and the birds have been cleaning themselves. Well, they were, but it did rain quite a lot. But I have seen a black cat this evening, and they have been washing themselves down there. So I'm keeping an eye on the camera there for us. Let me just flip this camera back round so we can see our faces. There we go. Lots to do.
Yeah, so there's a window at the end of my polytunnel. That's what Nat was looking out of there. I put a reused window that I took when I dismantled the caravan. There was another window, so I took that window out and put it on the end of my polytunnel. So I have the most beautiful view from my polytunnel.
It's lovely. When I came to check this place out, you had a nice comfy seat and a cup of tea from your last kind of
Yeah,
chill
it's a
out
nice
here.
place to sit at any time of the year. You can, because if the weather's not very nice, I can first thing in the morning I can bring my morning cuppa and just sit in here and watch the birds.
It's lovely. Yeah, what a find. I was quite pleased with that. So yeah. I'll play a little intro just to kind of say what this is about, and then then we'll get cracking. So here we go. Hello, my name's Natalie and I'm a wildlife camerawoman. I love filming wildlife and I love cameras. Years ago, I used to work in live TV, and so recently I've been playing around with combining both of those techie skills through live streaming whilst I film nature. This weekend, though, I'm visiting Wildlife Kate, who has an incredible wild home filled with live camera streams and some amazing places to watch wildlife. So here we are, watching nature, chatting nature, and live streaming together. Enjoy!
Oh,
Let's start that bit
right.
again. We're going
Okay.
to talk again because we lost sound there. Apologies.
Okay, we'll try again.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to talk all about nest boxes, aren't we?
We are. We're going to talk about nest boxes and a little bit of macro. And as you can see, we've got a live nest box here of a little blue
Yes.
tit.
So this is blue tit on well, she had 10 eggs, but I think she's got about 8 youngsters in there. It's really hard to tell. And it's been quite chilly today, so we've had some really heavy rain. So she's in there keeping them warm because they haven't got any feathers yet.
Yeah.
so they need to be brooded if it gets chilly. So she's in there, and you'll often see in nest boxes as well this upturned behaviour where she seems to be right down the bottom of the nest box, and
It's like
she's
she's
basically keeping it clean. She's pulling out any feces that they may have produced that she's missed,
oh, love it.
and keeping an eye on any sort of mites and bugs that might be in there and trying to keep it really clean. So they generally, blue tits are pretty good. They keep
Yeah.
their nests really tidy.
Oh, nice. Good to know. Um, well, so yeah, we have a little intro video just kind of going over some of your nest boxes because there's
Yeah.
so many here. So we thought we'd show you this before we chat a bit more. So yeah, have a look at this one.
This is one of the first nest boxes I built and put up here. And they're built specifically to house both my cameras and a tiny little light, which works on a sensor. So that comes on during the day and goes off at night. And every year I've had blue tits nesting in it. And this year she laid 10 eggs, and they're very busy at the moment feeding those chicks. It's really exciting, and it's lovely to stand here and watch them for real. I spend hours looking at footage on a screen, but I always like to come out and watch them coming in and out and foraging around in this area, looking for all the caterpillars, for all those little chicks and new life for 2026. This box is a little bit different. It's actually one that you can buy, so it's like a birch log that's been hollowed out, and I really like that design and didn't think I'd be able to recreate that myself. But you can see it looks a bit different because I took the lid off, and in order to have a camera in there I had to build like a bespoke section at the top of the box and then fix that on. And then I built a little, you can see it's got like a little porch, mainly because I found that the rain went in a little bit, so I sort of adapted it. But I've got a great tit in there, and she's sitting on 9 eggs. And the interesting thing is I put this on an oak tree, and the oak is just coming into leaf now, and that often is the case. So the birds time their breeding with the trees, particularly oaks, coming into leaf, because then there's loads of moth larvae in there, perfect for feeding all those chicks. Now I've got lots of nest boxes I've built myself and rigged myself, but not everybody's going to be able to do that. And with technology moving on, you don't need to be able to do that, because there's some really, really cool little kits available now with the cameras inside and even with the cameras outside. So this little kit here is from Birdfeed, and this is the Nest Box Duo. So it's got a camera on the outside, a camera on the inside, and it all wires into an app. So I can watch on my phone, I can see them coming in and out, and it even alerts me as what's going on. And at the moment I've got a blue tit sitting on 8 eggs in there, so we're waiting for those to hatch. Now this is a rather interesting little setup here. This is my mammal box, and I use it to basically film a range of small mammals. It's a really good way of me knowing exactly what is scurrying around in the undergrowth. So it's an old hedgehog box that I've adapted. It's got special metal entrances so the rats can't get in, and every day or every couple of days I put in a range of seed mixes, and inside is the same camera that's in my nest boxes and lights, except this time the lights stay on 24/7, so I get lovely colour footage of all the small mammals who want to pop in for a snack. Let's take the lid off, and then you can see inside here I've got the little scene where the mammals come. So there's 2 entrances, so they come in the back here, there's a camera in here and lights there. So I'm going to top up the supplies, and then we can see who comes to visit.
Just unmute us. Hello. There we go.
Trying to remember to unmute ourselves all
Yeah.
the time, so you can actually
My
hear us.
viewers
It
are
does,
used to
it
it.
does help.
It's great. Oh, so you've got so many different types of nest boxes.
I have. I've got about nest boxes up. Most are set up to attract the birds that most commonly use them, which is great tit and blue tit. So the one you can see now, this is a great tit. Her chicks are about a week old now. Very, very busy, but you can see I painted the interior of this one yellow. I was really interested this year to make the boxes very obviously different, so that when people are watching them on my live cameras, they can tell which box they're looking at. And so I tried to choose colours that I felt would complement the birds that were
definitely.
using it. So the yellow, obviously both blue tits and great tits have that yellow front. So I chose yellow, and it's been lovely because it's created a lovely hue within the box, and it's very noticeable that that's Sunnyside Lodge,
Yeah.
which is what I call it.
And same with this one. They've been quite active all day, but it looks like they're starting to get ready for the evening. It's starting to get quite a bit damper and a bit
Yeah, a bit gloomier and a bit
yeah.
chillier. So the female does all the brooding, so she does the incubating and she'll do all the brooding. The male will be in and out while she's incubating, feeding her.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the chicks hatch, he feeds at first, he feeds both the chicks. He feeds the food to her and she feeds it to the chicks. But once it's a couple of days, as long as it's not really cold, she'll go out and be bringing stuff back as well. And this box is right next to a meadow.
Yeah.
So they're in and out. You can see them flitting in and out the meadow as well, picking out insects as well as
Nice.
going up in the trees for caterpillars.
Amazing. Where does the male sleep then?
He'll just roost out in trees or bushes.
Yeah.
Doesn't use the box. So often people think that that birds sort of live in a nest box like a house.
Yeah.
But they don't. They'll only spend the breeding season in there. They don't. They do sometimes roost in a box during the winter months when it's really cold. So they'll just come in at night and roost in there. And often it's the bird that roosts. It's like a sort of deposit. You know, they think, well, if I'm roosting in it, then
Yeah.
I'll probably nest in it. So I had a great tit roosting in here, and I presume it's the same one.
But
It always worked like that. Sometimes you had, in one of my nest boxes, I had a nuthatch roosting all through the winter, and I thought, great. And then it was like, actually actually I'll just sleep here, but I'll nest somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always happen like that.
Rich says outside where my heart where he outside where he belongs. Oh well, yeah. Rich knows where a man.
Yeah, exactly. Stay out the way, just do as you're told. Come in, provide lots of caterpillars. But no, the males work really hard, and obviously the females couldn't incubate if it wasn't for the males coming in and feeding. And certainly in blue tits and great tits, that's just 2 weeks. With something like an owl, that's a whole month.
Oh my word.
Where he's got to feed the female while she incubates, and she's entirely dependent because she only goes out about 10 minutes every 24 hours.
Yeah.
The great tits nip in and out right from the beginning of incubating. So yeah.
You've seen some interesting behaviours. You've got like is it a great tit?
Yeah.
Something kind of happened recently. I'm just going to play you a little clip, and yeah, you can maybe explain it as we go.
What we're seeing. So this is in the log nest box. So you can see very interesting behaviour. Look at her tail. She's found her tail right out, and she's rising up to the entrance, flicking her wings and basically trying to make herself look as big and as scary as possible. Because what she's doing is, that's a very defensive behaviour. What she's doing is trying to scare off something that's come to the entrance hole, and it's probably just another bird. It's another blue tit looking in, or another great tit, or more worryingly, sometimes it's woodpeckers.
And would a woodpecker predate?
Yes, absolutely. So most of my boxes all of my boxes have got protectors on the outside because woodpeckers will take chicks.
Oh wow.
But I would imagine that's probably just another blue tit or great tit.
Yeah.
Who's just been seen
being
the hole,
and
just
having a look,
having a little look.
And you've had some other interest. Well, you've got another interesting bird box, which is beautiful. You were saying yesterday you like to rent them out.
Yeah, I do. All my nest boxes on my website for the last few years, I've been depicting them as like an estate agent. Basically, I do what I do to educate and to enthuse people about the natural world. So I like to try and think of ways of pulling in particularly an audience who wouldn't normally watch a nest box camera. So I present them all as an estate agent, and I suppose being a teacher, it was always like, you know, something I could do to get the kids excited, and they
Yeah.
could do their own little descriptions of the box and why someone might like to move in. And I'm really creative, so every year I do at least one nest box that's set up a bit
You've
like a sitting room.
certainly gone all in on this one.
Yeah,
Let's have a look.
yeah.
I think I've done them in order.
So this one was a couple of years ago. So you can see it's set up a bit like a sitting room, and with ornaments on the wall and a picture. And I was
Insects everywhere.
amazed that a nuthatch chose to nest in here. And you can see the nest is made of leaves and bark, so they don't create that lovely comfy nest like the tits do.
And they just kind of dump stuff in there.
Yeah, it's all leaves and bark. And then they do this really interesting behavior, which you can see now, is they take wet mud and they pack it all over the place. Now, normally it's around an entrance hole. That's where you would normally see it, because you'd see it from the outside. So if they were nesting in a tree and
Yeah.
the hole they'd found was a little bit too big and they were worried about predation, like we said about woodpeckers, they'd take mud and they'd muddy the entrance.
Oh,
So they'd
okay.
pack the mud round, and as it dried, it was set hard like concrete, and they'd basically mould their own entrance.
Yeah. Oh wow. Like they have.
Yeah, and
On the
so,
sides
but what
here.
was funny, they muddied everything. The pictures, the seams, all the inside edges were all
Yeah.
muddy, and of course it protects the box as well. So you can see there, they used the ornament shelf as a very convenient place to stand
Oh wow.
to feed those tiny chicks that I didn't see for a few days because they were sort of embedded down in all those leaves, and I just see a little beak
They
rising
just
up.
kind of peek up, don't they?
Oh, it was an absolutely fantastic season. Lots of people watched them. We called them the Nuthatch Ninjas because they were so charismatic characters. I'm used to filming Blue Tits and Great Tits, who are quite sedate and
Yeah.
like well behaved. This lot were crazy. And nuthatches are quite charismatic birds,
Yeah.
especially at the bird feeders. They're quite dominant and feisty. So you can see all the chicks there growing up, and the nest box, where I said before, blue tits keep it quite tidy. Not
No,
these
these
guys.
guys.
This box, I had to actually throw the box away at the end of the season
Oh no.
because it
Completely
was
trash.
such a mess. So I had to start all over again and
Awful
create.
tenants.
Yeah, exactly. They did not have their deposit back.
Oh, they probably paid their way though in views.
They certainly did. They were absolutely fabulous to watch. I was really hoping they were going to come back and that I'd have them again this year. But sadly not. They've it looks like they've gone in one of the local telegraph poles. They've got a hole in there.
Yeah, we had a bit of a spot this morning where we could well, we kind of scouted out the nuthatch. We're not quite sure, are we?
No, there's
But,
lots of holes in there, and they seem to be heading up there, but we haven't actually pinpointed where they're going. But
yeah.
they've certainly nested in there in the past. So they're looking for somewhere else to go. They obviously didn't like the new box that I designed this year. That was a little more
What's the
spacious.
photo in the new box?
It is actually a blue tit.
Oh, is it always a blue tit?
No, it isn't. But blue tit pictures are easier to find in magazines that are small enough to cut out and put in a minuscule
wow.
picture frame.
Love
I
it.
couldn't find many nuthatch pictures, funnily enough.
Oh, amazing. And there's a lot of kind of technology kind of behind all of this. So having so many cameras in so many boxes, you must be like wired to the hilts. Before we go any further, I'm gonna show everyone a little bit more about kind of what happens behind the scenes. So again, here's one we prepared earlier. Enjoy.
So you can see on screen here are the cameras that are live at the moment. So I'll have a variety that maybe I haven't plugged in or I'm not monitoring at the moment. But at nest box season, it's the nest boxes I'm most interested in. So you can see on the screen here, here's some of my nest boxes. So if I double click on this one now, then it brings up my beautiful blue tit in her most gorgeous of nests, and her eggs hatched last week. So all the time I can monitor and watch. Here's the male coming in and feeding her, and then she'll be straight on to feed those chicks. So all the time these cameras are recording, so at any point I could lift that footage. I can also control the camera. So if I double click on this now, it will go back to my main screen. So if, for example, we looked at my feeders, you can see here, I can now click on my PTZ camera and I can control the camera from here at my desk. So I can zoom out, I can move the camera around, and so at any point if I see something exciting and I happen to be sitting at my desk, I can zoom in. And then the screen on the bottom here, this is using a piece of software called OBS Studio, and this allows me to live stream any of my cameras out to YouTube. So at the moment it's on one of the cameras that isn't already live streaming, which is a great tit on her nest. And by simply changing the IP address that my camera is running on, I can push out a different camera onto my YouTube channel. So it's a really wonderful way of me having an eye on just about every part of my land, but it's completely addictive and I'm forever checking the cameras, and it's very, very time consuming lifting all the footage. But it means that in a relatively short period of time, I've got to really understand what wildlife is here and how it interacts and uses the space in a way that I could never have done just by walking around the land, because the wildlife doesn't even know these cameras are here.
Amazing. There's a lot of work gone into this.
Yeah, it's really a way of life now.
Yeah.
If my cameras ever go down or I lose power, and it's like someone's like sawn my arm off or
Yeah.
something, because I feel completely lost. I'm so used to, you know, when I'm at my desk, which isn't very much at this time of the year, to be honest, but whenever I'm there, I can see the whole garden.
Yeah.
So, of course, very quickly moving here, I started to get a really good idea of what was around. And it's given me a really unique insight into the wildlife here.
How did you gain the knowledge to do all of this? Was it just trial and error, or you just...
Absolutely. um, I just started off small, you know, like most people, and entirely self-taught, with a lot of people on the way tapping in and helping me in all sorts
Yeah.
of different ways. So I started off with a little Nest Box camera kit, which actually my dad bought me for my 40th birthday. Thanks, Dad. It's your fault. And it was in those days, a long time ago, 18 years ago. It it was very basic. It just had a tiny camera in, and it plugged into a little portable TV in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I ran it through an air vent, and I spent a lot of time putting the TV on the AV channel and just looking at an empty box. And then eventually I got a blue tit in there, and I was just like, oh my God,
excited.
so excited. When I look back at the footage, it was really dire, really blurry, out of
So you got the
focus.
idea.
But it sort of really got me hooked. And then I met up with various other people, and as the technology improved, I sort of tied in with other people who are either producing these boxes and started using ready-made ones. And then, but at the end of the season, I'd think, well, you've only got maybe a couple of weeks of them building, a couple of weeks of them incubating, and then 3 weeks, and then the birds were gone, and then the camera sat in the box
And then what do you do?
for so long with not doing anything. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of a waste. Maybe I could take that camera out. So I basically dismantled this kit, because that's the kind of person I am. Dismantled the kit and tried making a little mammal box out of it. And that's when Springwatch first picked me up. I made like a little clay pot.
Oh wow.
With with the Nest Box camera kit in, and started filming small mammals, and that suddenly really sparked an interest on me, and that sort of grew then over the last goodness knows how many years, and now the technology is moving on at such a pace that I started experimenting with, you know, more sophisticated cameras. And before, they were pretty much, the cameras I'm using now were just out of my price bracket. There's no way I could afford them. But technology means that technology is way more affordable now.
It's same for the way that we're streaming right now.
Exactly. And it's been fun because I've been able to learn off Nat as well this last few days. You know, the technology she's using and the way we're live streaming, and how she's, you know, done all these other little bits of films, and she's got my live streams, and how she's pulling in different stuff. I've really enjoyed seeing that, because I'm always looking to push the boundaries of of what I do.
Yeah.
And it's been really good. I think we both have learnt off each other.
We've filled in gaps for each other, definitely. Yeah, I'm very much, I've never really done camera boxes and, you know, ran so many cameras through one system.
It's been really good, and we're thinking that this won't be the last time we do some stuff together. We're really enjoying it.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. Rich says this, well, he's called Game Camera Guy on here. He says it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
very
you.
proud. Yes, we've got our little yeah, they're heading to bed now.
Yeah, you can just
Getting a
see
bit
them,
sleepy.
and you can see their beaks are really bright yellow, and that's known as their gape. And you'll see that soon as they feel before their eyes open, soon as they feel the parents arrive at their nest box entrance, they will all shoot up and open their beaks, and those gapes are bright yellow.
Yeah.
So they trigger they trigger the adults to feed them. And the bigger the gape and the higher up they get, the more likely they are to get fed. So, you know, when there's a lot of chicks, those strongest ones are the ones that are leaping up. They're going to be the ones that survive. And the little ones that are like just feeble at the bottom, you think,
Yeah.
unless there's a lot of caterpillars, I'm afraid you're not going to make it. But it's such a lovely nest.
Well, speaking of birds, we got up really early this morning because we like birds.
Yeah.
So yeah, what day is today?
Right, today's International Dawn Chorus Day, and bearing in mind for the last few weeks we've had the most glorious mornings. On International Dawn Chorus Day, it wasn't quite the morning we were hoping for, was it?
I will play you a little video and then I can see a couple of questions coming in, so we'll go for those after. But yeah, here is our morning this morning. Let me just find it. It's that one. There we go.
Got up early this morning because today is International Dawn Chorus Day, so came out to listen to the Dawn Chorus. Didn't manage to film many birds singing, lots of birds eating, mostly because it was incredibly misty. So the sun is only just kind of creeping out now, but it's just been a fog all morning. But on the plus side, I managed to find a woodpecker hole over in the distance, so now I know where he's nesting. And I think we might have figured out where nuthatch are on the property, so I can keep an eye on those with my long lens as well from a safe distance. So yeah, super cool.
So what is International Dawn Chorus Day? Well, on the first light, on the first Sunday in May every year, loads of countries, about 80 of them, all celebrate and listen to nature's greatest symphony. But essentially, winter is a really quiet time for birds. They don't sing as much, they save up their energy while they're foraging to survive, except for robins, who are just vocal all year round. And as the daylight hours increase, birds' hormones kind of switch and they start focusing more on breeding. And so the songs gradually come back to help attract mates and start their new mini families. Not all birds, though, get out of bed at the same time. So an hour before sunrise, usually you'll hear nightingales, robins, song thrushes, and then blackbirds. And then as the light kind of creeps into the morning, you might hear more kind of wrens, blackcaps, chiffchaffs, and great tits. And then finally, kind of the sleepyheads are birds like chaffinches, who will kind of add to the final dawn chorus as the day goes on. So it's a really beautiful kind of song to listen to first thing in the morning, and I encourage you to get up at least one morning this week and really take in that dawn chorus. So dawn is at 5:45, so I expect you all to be up nice and early.
We were.
Like us, we were, yeah.
Up by 5:30, weren't we?
Yeah, we weren't quite there for that hour ahead, but we, but no nightingales around here. So.
Oh God! If I heard a nightingale here, although we have had cuckoo,
I
have heard it today, not in the dawn chorus, but I've heard it again, and it's the closest I've heard it.
Yeah,
it's literally just outside the garden somewhere in the woods. yet
Wow, we'd
before
love
I've
it.
heard them much further away. So, oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. No, I maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, it was very misty this
Yeah.
morning, very gloomy.
That's it. We've got a beautiful, you've got like a beautiful view, and I can see in my head the image of where the sun rises over a nice little meadow. And there was so much opportunity for some backlit singing birds. And yeah, it just
Never
did
mind.
not happen. I mean, we got a woodpecker, we got the woodpecker hole.
Yeah, we did.
So,
And it was actually lovely, even just sitting in the mist
and just
and just
listening.
listening. It's the most amazing song. And like you said, nature's sort of symphony. And I am an early riser, so I tend generally not quite that early. But the first thing I do, if the weather's okay, if it's wet, I'll often come and sit in here with a cuppa, and you can hear the birds singing from in here. Otherwise, I just sit out on the patio with my
Yeah.
morning cuppa and just soak that. And it's so good for you. It's like a real, really, well, it's been proven, bird song as well, really good for your mental health.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that calms you, brings you back to the present. And just sitting in nature, listening to birds,
Magic.
best therapy ever.
I had a question from Game Camera Guy. What's the most unexpected thing you've witnessed in one of your bird boxes?
I've witnessed all sorts, from amazing behaviour to frightening behaviour to horrible things that I wish I hadn't seen
Oh, it's probably nature is
to
harsh,
wonderful
isn't it?
things.
Yeah.
I mean, the tip boxes, I mean, I've got a lot this year, and touch wood, they're all looking okay. Sadly, you have to sort of be prepared because not all those chicks will survive. Of course they won't. You know, these blue tits are laying 10, 12, 14, sometimes even
Well,
16
it's
eggs.
safety in numbers, isn't it? Get them all
Yeah.
out and hope.
Yeah, and the more you lay, maybe the more that will survive.
Yeah.
So you always have some deaths, but I've had nest boxes where the chicks are doing really well, and then suddenly the parents just stop coming, and then you're watching, and you can see those chicks,
They're right
like,
there.
yeah, failure to thrive and then dying, which is really hard. And then you get really interesting behaviours. You know, I even had once a different species come in and feed. I had a wren come in and feed a blue tit brood. And sometimes the birds are so geared up to that
Yeah.
tweeting and that gape,
They'll
that
just,
especially if they've lost their own brood, and I've seen other people film it as well, so
yeah.
that they'll actually go
Wow.
and just trigger and be feeding somebody else. The probably the the saddest is in the owl boxes. They're the ones that seem to be most open because so much more can get in them. But I filmed some amazing stuff from, this is mainly at the site in Worcester, U View, was an owl sitting in her box, and a squirrel came in, and she was on eggs, and the
Ooh.
squirrel came in the top of the box and literally went round above her, and she very sensibly just sat tight, hissing at him and all fluffed up, because she had eggs that were close to hatching, and if she had chased him off,
Then that would have
very
been it.
likely to
Game
be
over.
broken. And I've had a stock dove land in on top of a tawny owl, which was
That's
pretty
quite
amazing.
recently, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, and that's the second time I filmed that. The first time I filmed it, the thing is that when the tawny owl is nesting, you can't see her. She's so well camouflaged, and stock dove is like looking in, going, "Oh, I think this might be somewhere nice." Literally didn't see her.
Meanwhile,
And the first time I filmed it, the stock dove came in, she went ballistic, and she killed it there and then in the box,
oh,
and then,
feathers
yeah,
everywhere.
feathers
Oh
everywhere,
my
and then
word.
ate it. And then this year I've had one come in again, but luckily the stock dove escaped.
Oh,
So
lucky.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's you just never know what's
No.
going to happen. So you sort of go into it. I think if you go into it knowing that,
Yeah.
then
Be
you
prepared.
you have to be prepared, because nature is pretty raw sometimes,
Yeah.
but incredible to watch.
Game Camera Size, so many good stories.
Oh
Yeah, so
yeah,
many boxes, so many
yeah,
opportunities.
yeah. Well, exactly. The more cameras you get out, the more likely you are to film something that's a little
Yeah.
bit different, which is what I'm always striving to do, to try and push the boundaries. And obviously it isn't just the big behaviours though, it's some of the little behaviours, especially with the owls. Like our
Yeah.
owlet at the moment is just gorgeous.
I might be able to pull the owlet up. Give me one
Yeah,
moment.
we've got an owlet which we've called Artemis. It's been a pretty traumatic tawny year this year, and we're going to talk a bit more about that tomorrow, aren't we?
Tawny day tomorrow.
Tawny day tomorrow. But I've got a box in Worcestershire that I've filmed tawnies for the last 9 years, and we've got a single owlet called Artemis, and he is absolutely gorgeous. And whereas the female will brood them a lot when they're very little, once they get a little bit bigger, they're sort of coming out from under her feathers, and we're getting to see him.
Oh.
So there we go. You can see that big white ball of fluff there is Artemis, and when they first hatch, they're covered in like a white down, which is a very fluffy feather, and then gradually their plumage starts to come through. So he's just at the stage where you can see it starting to come through, and he's almost too big to go under the female now. So this live streams on my website, so if you want, there he is. Oh, bit of a yawn. Very comical, and you can see his little feet sticking out there. They sit back on their heels, so he's got like bald elbows, and he sits back on his heels.
Oh,
with his little feet sticking out like that.
You have seen him like rolling around.
Every now and then he rolls back, but he's getting stronger now. So when she leaves him, he can now stand up. When he first started standing up, he like sort of fell over, and he's ever so funny. And often there's some prey in there because whereas he could probably eat something small being brought in, she feeds him at the moment, and there's a lot of rats coming in, and they're huge. So yesterday he was investigating a very large half of a rat that was in the corner of the box.
No.
And you could literally watch it all day, and lots of people do. You know, I've had so many people who log into this camera and have it as like a pop-up when they're working at their desk.
Yeah.
Just because you can. He's hilarious at the moment. Very, very comical.
Amazing. That's probably a good time to plug. Where can people see? Hang on, all of your cameras.
Okay, so you can watch all my cameras at wildlifekate.co.uk. I live stream lots of cameras from here, both on feeders and in boxes, and then also live stream the owl box there as well, and at UView. So it's not just an internal view, you can see an external view as well. So sometimes you can see the female sitting up on the outside of the box because she's starting to leave Artemis now as he's getting bigger, and you can see the male bring prey in as well.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, and all sorts of prey. Before I started filming owls, I didn't realise how many different things they eat.
What kind of things?
Well, I thought it was just like mice and voles and rats and things like that, but they're quite big hunters of birds.
Oh, really?
So they will bring in a lot of fledglings. So if they discover a nest, they will check that nest out. If there's eggs in it, they'll leave it and they'll come back the next week.
Oh. I'm gonna go, that's kind. No,
no, it's not kind. It's clever. And then they'll come back and take those fledglings. And in fact, one of the first years before they nested in this box, we had jackdaws in the box, and we were filming them. And the female had incubated her eggs. And one night, a tawny came in, frightened her off, and she was on eggs. And that tawny, you could literally see it. It came over and looked at them, and then went back out. And 2 days later, the eggs had hatched, and she came back.
Oh, wow.
And one at a time, she took all those chicks. So, you know, you're like, oh no, and absolutely devastated. But somewhere she had a nest and she was feeding her owlet.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those, another thing that you sort of have to be prepared for. But we've had frog, lots of worms, surprising number of worms and slugs, goldfish.
Oh wow! Oh, that's where goldfish are going.
So
you've got
gone down to have a bath, and there was a goldfish, so she took advantage of that. We've had harvest mice, in all sorts of birds, rabbit, small rabbit, but tawnies aren't that big, but they can catch a rabbit. Magpie,
chunky birds.
Jackdaw, like a big jackdaw fledgling, so it was obviously out of the nest. So yeah, all sorts of prey. Yeah, I've got a big long list somewhere of everything I've recorded, but I love this story. It's such a fabulous story. So we've probably got a couple more weeks before he'll branch out into the trees.
Nice. We'll talk a bit more about branching tomorrow because I've got some amazing footage on that. I was going to say we've been watching The Pond and we haven't seen too much, but earlier there was like I've got a couple of shots of what bird is this?
I need to put my glasses on. Oh, okay. Oh, I can see. No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. No, I've got it wrong.
No, it's a marsh tit, actually.
Oh, we've got some marsh tit action. There we go.
Yes, there's a marsh tit who's come down for a little bath here. I get quite a lot of marsh tit, and now marsh and willow tits are a species that are in severe decline, particularly the willow tits. So yeah, that's a little marsh tit coming down. Pond's a fabulous resource for this one. When I built this one, it was built very much designed that area for birds to drink and bathe. So it's a pebbly area, and I built it really shallow, gradually getting deeper with little flat. I found some really nice flat stones which I sunk down at various levels, so that if you think the size of a blue tit compared to something like a jay or a bigger bird, they need different depths. So by providing different depths at the edge of your pond, they can choose their depth that they want to bathe in, and then you'll get a much bigger variety of species. So, yeah, it can be really busy. And you did set a camera up there today, didn't you?
I tried really hard. I had my little GoPro with the dome and I stuck it in there and it looks beautiful. I could see half under the water, half on
We
top.
were so excited about the footage.
Yeah, and then nothing came.
Well, the battery, and then the battery had run out.
I was like, I'll charge the batteries and we'll try again in the afternoon when it's going to be a bit sunnier. Meanwhile,
so Natalie then goes and brings in the camera to recharge the batteries, and I've got a permanent camera on this spot, and literally within 5 minutes he's bringing the camera in. A big crow came in and bathed about 3 times right in the key focus point that would have been perfect
where I was
when we
to
were
be.
like,
so I was not impressed.
But that sort of sums up the joys of wildlife filmmaking, doesn't it?
You never know.
You just never know when you're going to get something.
Exactly.
But yes, I get lots of I've had so many different species, particularly the thrush family. So blackbirds, song thrushes, even redwings and fieldfare in the winter. They absolutely love a bath, along with the robin. The robin's always first in and last out usually.
Nice.
But
you have got a camera on this, and I'm just trying to find like
a
little kind of if there has there been any action there?
Well, there was that big crow that we missed.
I mean, I could show you while I scroll so that you're not just looking at me looking at my phone.
So what Natalie's doing now is she's accessing my NVR, so my network video recorder. So all my cameras are plugged into that, and it's plugged into the internet. So what she's doing now is scrolling through, and you can see at the bottom there's a bit of a timeline, but because there's so much reflection and movement, it's difficult to see when exactly
blue tit
when something comes. So you have to scroll through, and you can do what's called a smart search, where you draw like a little square around the area you want the camera to look at.
That's clever.
And then it will just show you the movement within there.
A bird lands anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It is much harder on something like that. But yeah, it's a fabulous bit of software. And also we've had today a song thrush coming around the edges, because obviously it's nice and damp, collecting mud.
Oh, there he is.
Leaves.
Exactly as you said. There
we
he
go.
is.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, and he's got all of his right at the camera. Off he goes.
Well done. So you can imagine at the end of the day, I tend to look through, if I haven't been sitting at my desk and happen to see something interesting, I tend to whiz through the footage
and just see what's been about.
And just see what's about, because sometimes you've missed stuff. The jays also love to have a bath down here. So jays often pop down here for a little bath as well.
Little song thrush again.
So the song thrushes come every day. And in fact, there was a pair there bathing together.
Oh wow!
Yes. So I presume they're a pair, as in male and female, because they were quite intimate and bathing very close together in my pond. So very happy together. So.
Game Camera Guy was just asking if the owl was live. Then that was a bit of playback, but it is live. It's not a great. It's quite low res live at the moment, and it's dark, so I was just showing a bit of playback, but it is there, I promise you.
If you go on my website you can that owl is in there, because I'm pulling that live
because I'm pulling
that live stream all the way from Worcestershire. The live view is a little lower res. Yeah, if you do the playback, it's back to original res. So
You
that
can
is
see,
live
though.
now.
What's that? There's the rat that they're playing with.
Yeah. So there's
Rat
usually tucked up in the corner is a little stash of food which she'll feed to him throughout the day.
Magic. Lovely. Let's yeah, nothing there at the moment. Still going with my camera.
Yeah. You never know who might pop in at the last. The robin usually comes down in the evening and has a little dash. And of course, it's really important. Birds don't just bathe for fun. They bathe to keep their plumage in good condition. So you might think they'll only bathe in the summer, but in fact they bathe more in the winter, because it's absolutely essential to keep their plumage in tip-top condition to keep them warm. And when that pond freezes over, I keep a little area open. And the busiest I've had that pond was in a really cold patch where I broke the ice and they were literally going in this little ice hole.
Just one at a time.
Yeah, all bathing, all sorts of species, because if your feathers are out of condition, of course, they're not going to keep you warm.
Yeah.
But the thought of going in there and in that freezing cold water.
Oh. Well, speaking of ponds, I had a go with the pond. And a little lens that I've got. I'll give you a bit of an intro. Spoiler, I'm not very good at pond. It turns out, not yet.
No, we're going to do
One
some
day.
practicing, aren't we? With ponds,
Yeah,
I
we're
think.
gonna have a play. But yeah, check out what I've been up to. So this is a probe lens. It's a Laowa 24mm f14, and it allows me to get really close up. And also has a little light on the front. Excuse my hand. So the light is powered by this battery that I've rigged on here with just a few bits that I have. So that's just a V-lock. There's my battery, and then kind of this area here is waterproofed, so I can dip it in the pond. However, my rigging isn't probably very sufficient for pond dipping, but it's still quite a lot of fun to try out. So I've got kind of my exposure and focus. It's all manual. I've got dummy kind of mount EF to E there, and you'll notice it's on this slider. Also, look at the lens cap. It's so cute. But yeah, I've also pop it on a slider. Some people have mechanical things, but this just allows me to just do a few kind of easier moves in and out of things. But I have also been having a play handheld a little bit, just 100 frames, just to have a bit of fun, really. So yeah, so this is really useful for getting intimate, tiny little worlds and little creatures. And it's mounted on a Sony A7S III for now, and is quite a funky lens. What do you think? It's been a while since I've used a probe lens properly, so I was really excited to have a play with this one at Kate's site. And first thing I did was get out and just start filming a little bit of foliage and a bit of scenery with it. But what I really wanted to do was dunk it in the pond. And hey presto, the very first thing, as if by magic, we found was what looked like some newts, some baby newts. And then that was kind of the peak of that. I soon discovered that I'm not very good at pond dipping. I don't really have the rig or the kit for it just yet, but we tried. What I really enjoyed though was turning my attention to insects and bees. I had so much fun kind of waiting by the flowers, waiting for the bees to pollinate, and I was like super happy with all the footage that came to. So yeah, I'm super excited to use this probe a bit more and spend a bit more time on it, refining my skills and hopefully doing a bit more macro.
because if you we're useless at this.
We're terrible.
We keep forgetting.
Yeah, Dan's got
Yeah.
me though. It's okay.
We keep forgetting you've got to actually press the button to put the we get all excited. That's the trouble.
That's
We
it.
get carried
I'm
away being excited.
So excited
we're
by the probe.
We're going to introduce the probe lens again.
This is the probe.
And
Oh.
I'm keeping away from it. But we were just
Yeah.
saying about how good it is to use and why you'd want to use that lens.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, this is really good for kind of getting into really tiny little spaces and also kind of building kind of miniature worlds. So you can kind of move through tight areas and kind of not move all the foliage as you're kind of pushing through as well. So
yeah, I can imagine like if you filmed like small mammals with your normal camera and then you wanted to mimic what it was like for them moving through the foliage,
yeah,
that you could use that
have a
lens
play
to
with
sort of create a mouse
that's it.
view
Yeah.
without your big lens moving everything out the way.
Yeah, and it's a bit more discreet as well. You're less likely to disturb the
Yeah.
animals as well. So sometimes I'm hoping at some point we're going to set this up and leave it so that some animals come to it.
Yeah, we've had a few. We've been getting a bit
Got some
creative,
ideas.
trying to get some ideas together between us. We're a bit dangerous, aren't we? Because
Yeah.
we've got loads of ideas. We're like, oh, we could try this. So yeah, but I've seen it with solitary bees as
Yeah.
well. Some of the solitary bees nest in the ground, and if you find their little hole, you know obviously exactly where that bee's going to come through. And with this lens as well, you need to be able to set it up on quite a small area. So it would be really good to set it up if we could find some little solitary bee hole.
Yeah. Do you have any solitary bee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some, but
Yeah.
we need to find some. And I haven't found many digger ones yet. Some of the digger wasps as well, because when they lay their egg and the larva hatch, they lay their egg and then they populate the hole with like spiders and things that are going to be food for that larva. So some of the footage I've seen of some amazing stuff of them bringing in spiders and
nice.
flies and all sorts into the little holes, and that's filmed with that lens.
Yeah. Nice.
So good fun.
I borrowed one a while back and it was a different brand. It was slightly cheaper, but it was still really nice. And I made like a little film about grasshoppers, and I just kind of rolled around my garden in the height of summer one year, just having a play because I could, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna show you some grasshopper because this is lots of grasshopper jumping, but this is kind of what I managed to get with the probe lens without freaking out grasshoppers. So yeah, I'll try not to be on mute when we come back. There we go. Game camera guy has just mentioned that you need a lot of light for doing these types of things, and I'm gonna blind myself now. Oh, it's not too. I've got the lens cap on. It's fine. But yeah, these come with light built in into them, so that's like super handy. But you're absolutely right. Most kind of macro stuff is filmed in studio a lot of the time, so there'll be big sets with lighting and everything kind of,
and you can get some nice little units, can't you, that you could, if you were in a static place like maybe a certain little spot, that you can have some external lighting with it. Maybe
that's it. I mean, I've done things in my garden with just like little tiny little lights from like Aperture that you can buy, and just plonk them down. And sometimes just with my tent lamp, I've just kind of gone out with that and just because you don't need a huge amount once you kind of get really that close in. And it's what you don't want to do is try and get like double shadows and stuff. So that's something that you kind of want to look out for. But otherwise, yeah, backlight all the things, all the tiny things. But yeah, that's it's a super fun kind of lens to do. What most people use this for in the corporate world is coffee beans. That's the shot, or opening book. that's the shots. So
Not grasshoppers then.
No, it's far more interesting rolling around in the dirt, trying to
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think it might be quite good up against the birds bathing as well.
I think so as well. We need to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, you have to get them to bathe in a very specific spot, but I can move the gravel because I've done that before.
Yeah.
I scope the gravel round to create a very defined area if I want a certain shot, and then encourage them to go into that area.
Oh, nice. Oh, didn't know about that technique.
So, yeah.
That is
Try
another that is another element though, because even though we've got waterproofing in this kind of section, the rest of it is not, and the camera as well. So you then start having to look into housing and all of the water things as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I've got a little mini PTZ camera on the water hole, on the pond, and other water areas, and you're torn between getting the camera really close
Yeah.
to the water so that you get that lovely intimate shot, but then of course when the bigger birds come in, or even the smaller ones, some of them are really splashy bathers.
Yeah.
And then you just get water all over the lens, and then you can't see very well. And that's another thing, by filming you discover things that you just didn't appreciate, and one of those is that all birds bathe in different ways. Some are really splashy, some just go in full on,
Yeah.
and others just dip and do a very quick, and some do under one wing, then under the other wing,
Yeah.
and then a head dip, and then the bigger birds, particularly the jays and the crow family, they just go in all in, everything moving, everything splashing, and then stopping intermittently, obviously, because they're very vulnerable to predation at that point. Because if you imagine dipping your head under and
they're not really
splashing,
watching what's
they're not
going on.
watching, so that potentially they could be predated. So and they'll often bathe, certainly the smaller birds, in groups, and one of those birds will be the one watching while the others bathe, and then that one will bathe and one of the others will watch. So they do
Kind of like when they're feeding as well.
Yeah,
kind
like
of
a bit of communal.
Communal bathing from the birds.
Indeed.
There we go. How do you bathe? Don't answer that question.
No, we're not asking for comments on that one.
That's great. The other thing that I kind of did a little bit of filming on, some of you have seen this before, but I really liked it. But I did this with the probe, and it's spiders. It's really interesting to go out at night to see what you can see, and this is like a really cool spot. There's bats everywhere, and they feed off kind of all these spiders. But when you kind of really dig in, and really look at them, they're really intricate and like really kind of beautiful to see. So yeah,
I'm a big spider fan.
Yeah, if you're not a spider fan, I'm really sorry. There's creepy music. I've gone all in on this. So there's a lot of spider coming up. So yeah, close your eyes for like a minute. But yeah, check this out. Creepy.
Great stuff.
Yeah, and that was all just having a new lens with a new perspective, and just looking at my environment a little bit differently, and just thinking what else is out there, this that's not so fantastic and hard to get, like something that's achievable. And so yeah, so I think I had a friend, I've taken a couple of friends out on that trip, hold the lights for me. That was like torches. Just shine it on those spiders. I hope you're not scared of spiders.
though, isn't it? Is that especially you know, I do camera work, but in very different way to you. But you experiment,
Yeah.
and the best thing, I mean, I do a small amount of photography and filming with my my proper camera rather than my
Yeah.
digital SLR, or my, it's a mirrorless now. But you practice on the things that are right on your doorstep.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
because then if you get the opportunity to do something really special in a exotic location that you may only have a once in a lifetime
Yeah, at
chance
least
to
you're well
film.
rehearsed by that point.
Yeah, it's like, you know, trying to photograph birds in flight. You know, do it in your own garden at your bird feeders to start off with. Experiment with shutter speeds and f numbers and all of that, and then when you've got good at what's in your garden, then you can start going a little bit further afield. And then if you do see something amazing, you've got slightly better chance of
Exactly,
of
yeah.
nailing that shot, which is what you want.
I think as well, there's a lot to be said for just being curious about your surroundings and yeah, keeping an eye on kind of what's around you.
Oh, and I'm always
And you're
thinking
on that.
yeah, of different places I can put cameras to get different kind of footage. I'm always, especially at this time, looking out for nests. You know,
Yeah.
obviously I've got cameras in nest
I've
boxes,
found
and
2 so far while
yeah,
we're here.
yeah,
So,
it
yeah.
has. I think the difference is Natalie's actually sitting and watching, and that's what I don't do enough of.
Yeah.
I've got so many things I'm doing. I'm just like whizzing from here, there, and everywhere. So I'm sure there's a lot more nests. Well, there will be
There
on
definitely
my
are, yeah.
land,
We've
and
seen
if
enough.
they're within cable distance, if I like, we did see a wren starting to build, and I can fairly easy. I've got quite a mobile little set up on a tripod. So and once, obviously, you've got to be very respectful of them, but when they're building, you can set a tripod quite far away with the camera, and then as they start building you can just like move it a little bit closer. It's all covered in camouflage, and these birds are nesting in places that I'm moving around in, putting tools, bringing the lawnmower out.
Yeah.
You know, they're used to that environment changing, and you can just gradually move it in, and then often they're like perching on your tripod before they're going into their nest. So I do like to try and get a different kind of nest or a different kind of perspective, and I'm always trying to do something a bit different.
In some ways, it's a little bit easier on the body than sitting still for 8 hours.
I don't think I
No.
could do that. I don't think I'm not very good at sitting still.
No.
No, this is the longest I've sat still for a
Oh.
while actually. No, I'm usually on the
Don't
go, so
worry.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could be as patient as you are waiting
Yeah.
for that one shot for hours.
I mean,
I'd be like thinking of all the other things I should be doing.
it's definitely a very kind of calming thing to do, but also anticipation. So much anticipation and knowing when the thing that you're waiting for happens, the adrenaline rush is going to be
And I think the
incredible.
difference, which is what I should do more of, is the longer you sit there, the more you become embedded in that environment, and you notice things, you notice different sounds, you see different movements. You know, the longer you sit there, the more you become part of that environment, don't you? And then you're much more likely to then be able to film, you know, that thing that you want to film.
When you learn about tracking, people talk quite often about the circle around you and how you've kind of got a circle of almost sound, and animals will stay kind of at a certain amount of distance until you've kind of settled, and the more that you sit and be still, that circle kind of closes in, and the animals will come slightly closer. You know, they won't walk all over you, but they'll kind of edge in and feel a bit safer with you. And yeah, it's a really kind of important thing to do, is to just be still and become one with the environment.
Yeah, but you do. The longer you spend, I've certainly found here, you know, with a combination of all my cameras and a lot of time spent outside in this space, I feel like I've only not even been here 3 years yet, but I feel like I'm getting to know this space just in a quite intimate way, in the way that many people wouldn't. And part of that is due to cameras on so many different areas that all the time I'm watching. If I'm not outside, then I can see them on my screens in the office.
That's it, yeah. I've been showing off my kind of swanky probe lens, and I realise that's not like the most accessible thing, and I like to be accessible to people. I have got some tips if anyone is interested in macro, of things that are a little bit easier to kind of get hold of. Let me stick my face on the screen. Um, So yeah, so one thing that's kind of super duper easy is if you've got a camera and you've got lenses, you can get tubes for your lenses. Did you know that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
So
Not that I've ever used them.
they're great. I did a whole live using these, and
Ah,
I've got an example of me doing a live using these. But yeah,
excellent.
so you just take your kind of existing lenses and make sure you've got all the right mounts. But this here is a little tube added onto my existing lens, and I've put it on vintage lenses. That's been really interesting for photography.
Ah,
I've not really risked it with video because things are a little bit softer in focus on the
yeah.
vintage lenses. But that's been like a really neat workaround when I didn't have the probe, or if I need to just carry something really light and I can't take kind of an extra
Bigger
case or
lens, yeah.
something with me. So that's really helpful.
Ooh, I need to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, so some people would have seen, and you can watch back, but I did a little live in my pop-up tent in my garden when it rained. Kind of similar to this. It was going to rain, so I needed to find somewhere. And this is far more glamorous.
Well, of course.
The pop-up was a camouflage tent and me getting very, very muddy with woodlouse and other creatures. But yeah, there's not a great amount of sound on this, but you can see what I got just using these tubes. And it was pretty cool. So here we go. Oh wow. Bit of the environment as well. Over he goes. Look at that. A bit of live snail. Live snail. He looks like a racing snail. Focus out. Record. Continue. Looking good. There we go. We're just gonna check in on our nest boxes and see how we're doing.
See what's going on in those.
Just get these back up. Just trying to see where have my nest boxes gone. Oh no, have I lost them? I think they've faded away. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Oh, hopefully we don't. Hmm. Bear with. Let's put my glasses on. See what you're bringing up now. I've lost my nest boxes. I did have plenty of nest boxes. There's quite a lot of people that have come and gone. So whilst I find this, I'm going to replay the BT about your nest boxes. So
Yep.
sorry to those that haven't seen it already, but it's really pretty BT or video film. And yeah, it shares a bit more about these nest boxes whilst I just try and fix this. Okay, and
This is one of the first nest boxes I built and put up here. And they're built specifically to house both my cameras and a tiny little light, which works on a sensor. So that comes on during the day and goes off at night. And every year I've had blue tits nesting in it. And this year she laid 10 eggs, and they're very busy at the moment feeding those chicks. It's really exciting, and it's lovely to stand here and watch them for real. I spend hours looking at footage on a screen, but I always like to come out and watch them coming in and out and foraging around in this area. This is one of the first nest boxes I built and put up here. And they're built specifically to house both my cameras and a tiny little light, which works on a sensor. So that comes on during the day and goes off at night. And every year I've had blue tits nesting in it. And this year she laid 10 eggs, and they're very busy at the moment feeding those chicks. It's really exciting, and it's lovely to stand here and watch them for real. I spend hours looking at footage on a screen, but I always like to come out and watch them coming in and out and foraging around in this area, looking for all the caterpillars, for all those little chicks and new life for 2026. This box is a little bit different. It's actually one that you can buy, so it's like a birch log that's been hollowed out, and I really like that design and didn't think I'd be able to recreate that myself. But you can see it looks a bit different because I took the lid off, and in order to have a camera in there, I had to build like a bespoke section at the top of the box and then fix that on. And then I built a little, you can see it's got like a little porch, mainly because I found that the rain went in a little bit, so I sort of adapted it. But I've got a grate in there and she's sitting on 9 eggs. And the interesting thing is I put this on an oak tree, and the oak is just coming into leaf now, and that often is the case. So the birds time their breeding with the trees, particularly oaks, coming into leaf, because then there's loads of moth larvae in there, perfect for feeding all those chicks. Now I've got lots of nest boxes I've built myself and rigged myself, but not everybody's going to be able to do that. And with technology moving on, you don't need to be able to do that, because there's some really, really cool little kits available now with the cameras inside and even with the cameras outside. So this little kit here is from Birdfeed, and this is the Nest Box Duo. So it's got a camera on the outside, a camera on the inside, and it all wires into an app. So I can watch on my phone, I can see them coming in and out, and it even alerts me as what's going on. And at the moment, I've got a blue tit sitting on 8 eggs in there, so we're waiting for those to hatch. Now, this is a rather interesting little setup here. This is my mammal box, and I use it to basically film a range of small mammals. It's a really good way of me knowing exactly what is scurrying around in the undergrowth. So it's an old hedgehog box that I've adapted. It's got special metal entrances so the rats can't get in. And every day or every couple of days I put in a range of seed mixes, and inside is the same camera that's in my nest boxes and lights, except this time the lights stay on 24/7. So I get lovely colour footage of all the small mammals who want to pop in for a snack. Just take the lid off, and then you can see inside here I've got the little scene where the mammals come. So there's 2 entrances, so they come in the back here, there's a camera in here and lights there. So I'm going to top up the supplies, and then we can see who comes to visit.
We have live woodpecker. Just trying to get it in there. Oh, we've been watching it whilst that VT was playing. Being like, as soon as we go back.
I'm really appreciating.
Go.
Oh, it's coming back.
Oh, we've got more live woodpecker. Oh, it's very
There
hungry
we
at the
go.
moment.
There we go.
Well, no, it's a different woodpecker, because the other one
this
had
is
the red.
This is the female.
Yeah.
So this is the female great spotted woodpecker.
Oh, gone. Coming back? No.
Yeah, probably. Oh, we've got a robin on there as well.
Oh.
Females don't have the red mark on the nape of the neck. So if you see the red on the nape of the neck, that's the male. And if you don't see that, they've just got a black and white head, then that's the female. But they're enjoying, I've got a lot of fat-based products on offer here. This is the fat store. And you can see I've also got a hanging feeder there that's got mealworms and suet pellets in it. And the robin is enjoying those. And in fact, the woodpecker has been on the other one as well. But it really likes that. And that feeder you can see there is a homemade one, just of a log. And then I got a wood bit and I drilled holes into the log and then packed it with suet, and then hung that other tube feeder, which is packed with like a fat mix.
Nice. So, for those who don't know, what is suet?
It's like a high energy. It's a bit like a donut for birds, I suppose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's high energy, and often they're it's like a fat-based product that's packed with other things. So sometimes mealworms or seed or peanuts or things like that, sort of packed into that. And the good thing about it is that at this time of year, it's been recommended that we don't feed too much seed, because that can harbour a lot of disease. And maybe we'll run some of the videos tomorrow again of some of we did a little video all about bird hygiene and feeding. So at the moment I'm doing mainly fat and suet based products, but there's lots of different types that you can feed, and the other birds like these. So the tit family, the woodpeckers, nuthatch,
Yeah.
species that don't suffer so badly with
Nice.
some of the diseases that are being carried through bad hygiene at seed feeders.
Yeah, and it's such an important thing. Let's check in on some of the other boxes because I just wanted look at these guys.
Yeah, they're
like little dinosaurs.
I know, and they change so quickly. So in 3 weeks, they go from hatch. Here comes the
Oh,
adult coming in.
caterpillars.
Yeah, you can see.
Get it down your throat.
What's really interesting is you can see what they're bringing in, and they're mainly caterpillars, and most of these will be moth caterpillars. So from those oak trees and that are just coming into leaf now. We've got a lot of hazel round here, quite a lot of ash. So there's lots of caterpillars from moths, and as I said before, their hatching is synchronized with those leaves coming out when they're then full of hopefully yummy caterpillars, and those caterpillars are give them all the water they want as well.
Yeah.
So they don't drink these chicks. They're reliant on the parents bringing in caterpillars that will give them all the moisture they need. And you may see them as well. Once the parents come in, they'll have something to eat, and then they'll upend, and their poo is in like a little sack, conveniently, like a little bag, and then the parents take that away. So it's called a fecal sac. So they take that out of the nest box to keep the environment in there as hygienic as possible. So you'll see them carrying these little white packages out of the nest box, but they're doing really well, those great tits. So I'm hoping that that's going to be a successful clutch from Sunnyside Lodge.
And we were talking about accessibility. So what do people do if they haven't got all of the gear? What are your kind of top tips for anyone starting out with nest boxes?
Yeah, because I get asked this all the time. How can I have a nest? Can I get a camera for my nest box? Lots of people say, "Well, I've got a nest box."
I get the same. What's the best camera I should buy?
Yeah. People have nest boxes in their gardens, which is fantastic. And they can see things nesting in them, and then they want a camera to go in it. And I say it's better to buy a kit that's purpose built. So you buy the kit with the camera and the nest box all integral, because then all the focus is set up right and everything. And there are a lot of really good, easy to use kits that will tie in with an app as well. There's 2 I use at the moment. One is from a company called Nestbox Live, and if you go on their website, we'll maybe put a link down here.
We have
already
because this YouTube has not crashed today, so it's all
down
below in the description.
Okay, so Nestbox Live is a fantastic bit of kit. You do need to bear in mind that it needs to be cabled though. So if people are willing to cable a kit, so that means there's a wire that comes out of that nest box and it needs to go back to your router. So it needs to plug into your internet, basically. You can do that with a little, what we call a wireless access point. So you run a cable from your router outside into the garden where there's a little box, and it also has a cable connector, and that basically takes the internet from your router out into the garden, and then you can plug the nest box into that. So that nest box, obviously, if you're going to watch it on your phone, the nest box needs to be connected to the internet. And that little nest box comes everything with it, a fantastic app, and the images in the box are incredible. Like the image that I've spent years trying to get, you can get in a little kit. So that's one to look out for. Another really good one, if you don't want to cable, but you do have Wi-Fi in your garden, the one that was shown in that little video is one with a company called Birdfee.
Yeah.
And I've been really impressed. It's the first year I've been using this one, and I liked it because it had a camera on the outside and on the inside. And that is runs off a solar panel, although I have actually connected it into power, but which you can do. So it runs off a solar panel, and as long as it can pick up your Wi-Fi, I can look at these boxes wherever I am and watch the footage. So there's a lot on the market that are not very good. So don't be drawn into those. And I do have a section on my website where I'll be the Nestbox Live one's already on there because I've used that for
Do you have any
seasons.
Are there any rules that we need to know about?
Not really, but don't be drawn into really cheap ones because you'll just get disappointed. So you could go on certain sites and you know, or certain shops and pick up one for £40, but you'll get £40 worth of.
Yeah.
It's the same with anything. As soon as you're using images and lenses and cameras,
Yeah.
you have to, it's be better to save up and get a decent one than spend a whole season watching an out of focus, not very well lit story and then being frustrated. So I'd say it's a kind of really good thing to maybe have for a birthday. If you've got kids, oh, fantastic thing for children to watch. And also, a lot of these apps you can share the camera. So you could buy
Nice.
it for your grandchildren or for your children, but then you could watch the
You can
camera
all
box
see it
together. You
together,
could
so you
all
can talk
access
about
it.
it.
Yeah.
Really
And
cool.
and I think, and I've certainly know someone in lockdown who bought one of the boxes that I'd recommended, and every evening her and her daughter would FaceTime and talk about what had happened in the nest box, and it was like such a lovely thing to do, but a lovely way of really engaging children with the technology they want to use, but also learning all about nature. So I'm very up for that.
What's your advice for placing a nest box as well? Because I imagine there's something important about, you don't want it to be too cold, damp, wet, hot.
Yeah.
All of those. Where should people put their nest
Well,
boxes?
yeah, I always try and think about the fact that birds nest in all sorts of places in the wild. So I'm not so hung up about direction or height, particularly, because in the wild they won't always find a nest hole that's facing the same direction
Exactly.
or at a certain height. I generally find for the tip boxes, they are most successful on trees. So if you do have a tree in your garden, then they seem to like nesting there.
Yeah.
But having said that, I've seen plenty of people mount them on fence posts, on
Houses.
fences.
Yeah.
You have to bear in mind predation. So if you're putting it on like a fence where cats and other animals could easily climb along the fence and get into it, so you need to think about predation. You need to think about temperature. So not somewhere where it's going to get absolutely baking hot in the sun all day. And also in terms of prevailing winds. So you don't want to place the entrance hole where you always get wind and driving rain. So sort of bear those things in
You
mind.
don't want damp birds.
No, definitely not. There's nothing worse than that beautiful nest getting full of rain.
All ruined.
So and if you have it in a location and have no takers for a few years, I do recommend trying it in a new location.
Yeah, it's probably not appealable, I guess.
No. And some nest boxes as well, kits come either with a range of hole sizes, because different species prefer a different size hole. It's usually about 32 mil for the great tits, 28 for blue tits, but you can, most of mine I put out around the 30-32, because then I can get maximise and nuthatches can get in there as well. But some species won't nest in a box with a hole like that. So a robin would prefer a much more open box. So some boxes have a middle section that will come out. The section that had the hole in will come out. And then that is a more open box, and the camera's still mounted at the top. And robins prefer a much more enclosed space. So if you've got ivy or in a hedgerow or tucked away,
So if you really want a robin, you really think about your box.
Yeah, you've got to think about the kind of box you're using and place it in somewhere with lots of foliage.
Nice. Oh. Well, we're going to take a breath for a moment, and I've been out and about filming in around my local patch, and I've been kind of looking at kind of details of birds. So I'm going to show you my goose. I love my goose. It's it's coming up now, and enjoy this, take a breath, and relax.
Be back soon.
See you in a minute. Oh no, it's not working, is it? Hang on. I do apologise. I'm not sure what happened to my we'll try a heron. Let's try a heron. that was a little bit of heron from my local reserve on a little hunt. Not as calming as the goose. Sorry, I will try and find my goose at some point. And
I have had a grey heron down here actually.
Have you?
Onto this little pond.
Has it got anything?
Well, I haven't seen it catch. There's not so much. It came to both ponds, and I think there's newts that it was.
Yeah.
But there's quite a lot of foliage in there, so I think it struggled. But it was good to get on my bird list.
Keeping an eye, yeah.
Creeping up to 50 species on my bird list now. So
oh wow,
that'd be good.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah,
Nothing come down for a bath.
there's nothing come down for a bath today. It's been pretty quiet on the camera front. I'm just checking our cameras, but everyone is going to sleep. So I think we might wrap up early for the evening as well. Because we've played all of our VTs and we've got no birds. Unless anyone has any questions, speak now, quick, go, 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 go.
Before we go and have a coffee.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a delay, so we'll hang around for a mo if you've got any questions. But yeah, no, we've been hunting for I've been keeping half an eye out for birds, but nothing. And sadly, my bird bath videoing did not work.
No, never
today.
mind. But tomorrow.
Yes,
what
tomorrow.
are we doing tomorrow then?
Tomorrow.
Tawny owls.
Owls, all of the owls.
I've had a very traumatic tawny owl year this year. I filmed tawny owls here for the first time, and we're going to share a bit more about tawny owls tomorrow, about the story here, and follow the story of Artemis, and a bit about badgers as well, aren't we? And more creative projects and some of the things I'm thinking about doing in the future. And I filmed something that was a first.
Yes,
which is pretty exciting. So we're going to have a look at some of that and learn about the background about that, which should be fun.
That's it. We did have a comment come in, and I won't leave comments unread. So Louise says, I agree with what you say about moving the box, but I have a lovely story of a box on a post at the end of my paved courtyard in the centre of Exeter. It's been there 5 years, and I now have 9 blue-tipped chicks.
Fabulous. So it was lucky you didn't move it then.
Very.
No, it is. There's something very special. I mean, you can go online, and there's so many. As the technology becomes more available, of course, more people are now sharing their footage of their birds in their nest boxes. But there's nothing that beats watching your birds in their box. So I hope you've got a camera in there, and if not, maybe you should think about that for next year.
Sneak a camera in over the winter. It'll look like
yeah.
Awesome. Right, I think we're going to wrap up because we pretty much shown you everything, and not many birds, but I'm going to just kind of pop a little end card up to share Kate's details in case you are interested in watching some more bird boxes. And we will be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. 6 till about 7:30, 8 o'clock again. And thank you so much for joining us. We're really glad that you could pop along. And we're gonna finish on a high rather than Babylon. And have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.